Hey guys, it's Pastor Will, better known as Tron by Night if you're on Xbox Live, and I am just bringing you this video tonight because my kids are away, my wife's at work, I got a few minutes, and I just got done watching an awesome zombie movie. It's a George Romero movie. He's pretty much the godfather of zombies, and that's what I wanted to talk to you about tonight, seeing as it's October. It's going to be Halloween here soon. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about zombie movies. Mainly the George Romero zombie movies. Because those are the movies that, in all honesty, with all the zombie movies out there, you can never go wrong with watching a George Romero zombie movie. Now, I remember seeing Night of the Living Dead for the first time. And I did not actually see the black and white version the first time. I actually saw the colored version. And I remember it was on like Fox in Saturday afternoon, something like that. And I remember sitting there with my dad watching, and I believe it was the 1990 version, the color version of Night of the Living Dead. Now, this movie scared me. Not so much because of the zombies. I've seen scary movies before in my life. These are things that don't scare me. And granted, there's been some scary movies that have scared me. But zombie movies just really quite wasn't that. But the thing that scared me was where I was living at the time. At the time, I was living in rural Missouri. And we lived down a country road, and on this country road was a cemetery exactly like the cemetery in Night of the Living Dead. And I can tell you so many times I would drive past that cemetery, or I would ride past that cemetery on my bike or with my parents, and I would just be terrified of that cemetery. Um, one of the craziest things was when I actually looked in that cemetery and I saw a guy in a suit. It freaked me out just because of that movie. Now, I have grown some. I try not to claim that I grow much, but I've grown in my appreciation for zombie movies. And and for a long time I didn't watch zombie movies, and it wasn't until probably, I would say probably about 5 years ago, 5, 6 years ago, that I really started getting into zombie movies, watching zombie movies. And that was because of one of my youth when I was a youth pastor. One of the ways that I was going to reach him was to get into what he liked, and that was zombie movies. And so I started watching zombie movies, and I started watching George Romero movies, and since then I'd watched Night of the Living Dead, the original, and fell in love with it. And you know, but I never went on from there. I never watched any of the other ones. And I decided I needed the collection. I needed all the George Romero movies that I could get. And I did that. And a lot of it was picking it up at Walmart Halloween sales, or yard sales, or flea market, swap meet, stuff like that. But I did. I picked up all of George Romero's zombie movies, except for one, and I'll explain why I don't have that one. And I wanted to go through and pretty much give you my countdown of which George Romero movies I would pick first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and so on. You know how these countdowns go. And I'm grabbing my movies now, and I'm even grabbing the remakes and things like that. Now, first and foremost, when you talk about zombie movies, when you put a list together of what your favorite zombie movie is, I really don't care who you are, but number one on my list is always the original Night of the Living Dead. The original Night of the Living Dead is a masterpiece. This is a movie that I bought for 5 years straight. I bought this movie just because you can pick it up for $1. In my collection right now, I know I have it at least twice, and it's just such a great movie. Just the work that was put into it and everything, it's just amazing. So first and foremost, Night of the Living Dead, black and white. That is a movie you must have in your collection. Now, number two is going to seem odd to a lot of people, but I don't know what it is, but I love this George Romero movie, and it is Diary of the Dead. Diary of the Dead came out in 2007, and this was a movie that basically took place the same night, the same couple of days as the original zombie outbreak. So for me to watch this movie, and it's very much done kind of Blair Witch style. You have a guy holding the camera and doing it like that, but there's just something about it, something refreshing about it that really makes you just go wow. So that would be number two, Diary of the Dead. Number three would have to be easily the 1990 color version of Night of the Living Dead. I think Tom Salvini, or I might have screwed that up. Him doing that movie, paying complete homage to George Romero, amazing, and it looks beautiful. I don't quite like the ending, how they switched the endings around, where the dad is the one that's alive and he gets killed by the woman, and the black guy he turns into a zombie. That I really am not a big fan of that, but I can look past that because it is such a great movie. Now down through the list, what am I on? Number four would easily have to be the original Dawn of the Dead. Amazing movie, amazing just look of it, the story of it. At some parts it can seem like it's going on a little long, but just the whole idea of being trapped in a mall and surviving with all these zombies crowding around you. And in all honesty, anyone who busts open a can of Spam and takes his knife and just eats it, you're all good. You're all good with me. Now, next, I would have to kind of go, and this is where the countdown gets a little shaky because these are kind of like not my favorites, but you still got to give it to them. Day of the Dead, George Romero's Day of the Dead came out in '85. A great story, but here's the problem I have with this movie. Way too much cussing. Just way too much. And that's why I kind of put it down on the lower end of the list, is because of all the cursing in it. Next, I would have to go with Land of the Dead. And this was kind of really a new beat on the zombie movies. Kind of that whole utopia, humankind, but the zombies come and get you. The problem I have with this movie is the zombies are getting smart. After that, I'm not even going to talk about the remake of Dawn of the Dead. I'm just going to throw it to the side. Who cares? Last on the list for the original George Romero movies that I would put is Survival of the Dead. If you have not seen Survival of the Dead, don't worry, you're probably not the only one. You can find it on Netflix real easy, but it kind of leaves off after Diary of the Dead. Diary of the Dead, excuse me. Not as good, but still a zombie movie, all in all. But I do have to put it on because I want to pay homage to it. If you're watching any zombie movies, George Romero or any of them, you have to watch Shaun of the Dead. Shaun, of the Dead, Simon Pegg, did this movie because he loves it so much. Anyway, that's my zombie movie picks. My name is Pastor Will. Yeah, it's weird, Pastor, talking about zombies, but like this, favorite, and have a great night and a great Halloween. Bye.